The Toronto Raptors won Game 3 on this buzzer beater by OG Anunoby. An amazing shot with 0.5 seconds left. That most likely saved their season, otherwise going down 3-0 to the Celtics. Getting this much needed win came down to the last seconds, but the Raptors found success throughout this game and Nick Nurse tried everything he could to pull this win off. In this film room breakdown, we are going to look at Lowry's finishing in the paint, the Raptors' zone defense, how Kemba Walker was able to find his rhythm again, and of course, OG's game winner and why he was open. My name is Coach Gibson Pyper. You can follow me on Twitter at HalfCourtHoops. If you enjoy this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. If we're looking at it objectively, the Celtics probably didn't need to change much. They were up 2-0 and basically up 3-0 with 0.5 seconds left until that buzzer beater. But the Raptors had to make adjustments. They couldn't go down 3-0, otherwise their season would be over. One of the biggest things that I noticed was Lowry and his finishing in the paint. Now, if you know me and you follow me on Twitter, I'm a huge Jay Wright fan at Villanova. I have several videos on here breaking down his offense, and I love what he does from an offensive standpoint. A big part of what they do is teach pivots, pump fakes, jump stops, and basically under control when attacking the basket. In Game 3 tonight, he did a really good job of keeping his balance, getting into defenders, cutting off angles, leaping off of 2 feet instead of 1 out of control, finishing through contact, and overall just exhibiting a lot of patience when driving to the rim. I really love how he would throw up a pump fake, beyond balance, and basically look for contact, but also be able to finish if there was no foul call. The Toronto Raptors zone defense is now extremely famous. Nick Nurse has a Box and One hoodie for sale, and their zone defense was awesome, especially in games 1 and games 2. Game 3 that carried over. So far through 3 games, the Raptors have played zone defense for a total of 40 possessions, only allowing the Celtics offense to score 0.69 points per possession. A ridiculous defensive performance. Game 1 they played 11 zone possessions. Game 2 they played 6, even less. But in tonight's game, Game 3, they played 23 zone possessions. Of those 23, in Game 3, they went to a triangle and 2 zone for 5 of those possessions. When the Raptors went to their triangle and 2, they allowed 8 points. So the Celtics actually did really well against the triangle and 2, primarily because, for some reason, they allowed Tatum to catch the ball at the elbow and isolate, which kind of, ruins the whole philosophy behind a triangle and 2 to keep the ball out of his hands. Now, the Raptors' normal zone defense is almost like a 2-1-2 setup where you see 2 players up top, so usually Lowry and Van Vliet will be the 2 players up top. A player in the middle of the floor, usually OG, a longer wing, to prevent any high post flashing or high post catches where they like to get Tatum the ball against the zone. And then 2 players low, typically another wing, such as Powell or even Gasol and Ibaka, the big guys, they'll alternate in which block they go to. Now, zone defenses are susceptible to offensive rebounding and corner threes, but as we've talked about in other videos, the Raptors' man-to-man defense gives up the most corner threes in the NBA, so they're not really concerned about that so much. The Raptors' zone defense, what it was able to do was basically take the Celtics out of their drive and kick game, out of their advantage game, out of their switch hunting, out of their ball screens, and basically kept guards switching on the ball screen so it would turn into an isolation. Now, of course, the Celtics are good in isolation, but when you have 2 feisty guards basically attacking you all the time, it stagnates your offense. The Celtics had like 1 great possession that I personally saw against the zone, but besides that, they really struggled. So moving forward for Game 4, I expect a healthy diet of this zone defense from the Toronto Raptors. But how did the Celtics counter the zone defense? They went to 1 basic set where it's floppy action. After the initial action, typically the Raptors will go into a man-to-man, almost match up whoever's closest to them, or so they can keep their big out of ball screen defense, or they will go man-to-man straight. So what the Celtics did is they would run floppy action, which is 2 screeners at the bottom, 2 shooters coming out, and then go either with a high post flash for Tatum or a spread ball screen at the end of the shot clock, basically forcing the Raptors to kind of extend their zone defense. But if I'm the Celtics coaching staff, I'm coming up with specific plays for tomorrow to review to attack this zone defense going forward, because it's been extremely effective for the Raptors. Kemba Walker struggled in Game 2. Didn't shoot the ball very well. I thought he played a good game, but the shot wasn't falling. So the first play of the game, naturally for him. And what the Celtics did is they had Tice pick and pop, and then go into a side dribble handoff for Kemba, or so it looked like. They actually went to what I call overaction, where the big dribbles at the guard, and because the Raptors like to pressure and deny and take away any dribble handoff action, they fake it. The guard then comes back the other direction for a handoff, creating a downhill driving lane, or in this case, a Kemba 3. They also went to this action a little bit later, and I couldn't tell if it was a read or if it was an actual design. The first play was probably a design, the second one was probably a read, and I expect them to maybe go to this action more because it gave the Raptors a little bit of problem, but they only ran it twice. Kemba was also really good when even the Raptors were trying to trap him, put 2 on the ball. The number one thing that he did was always kept attacking, kept probing. So if it was Gasol hedging out or Ibaka hedging out, he would throw the ball out and kind of sneak around them using his speed to his advantage, creating downhill opportunity, playing 4-on-3 and attacking and finding the open shooter. Or if they trapped him, he would hit either Tice or Williams on the short roll, and they were able to make plays out of that as well. And then of course the last play of the game, when they went to their double fist ball screen, Kemba was able to turn the corner after a couple of stagnant dribbles, find Tice for that drive and dish dunk, and just had a great game overall no matter what the Raptors were trying to throw at him. Now let's talk about OG's game winner, because at first glance it looks like, oh, he was just open. What happened to Celtics? They messed up. What are they doing? How are they out of position? It's a lot more deeper than that. The Celtics go to zone defense end of game all the time. I did a breakdown on Brad Stevens' zone defense 5 years ago, and I updated it this year, talking about how they'll basically switch everything. Every player is responsible for a zone. Now, one of the problems that I saw was actually against the Raptors in the regular season. We can see as the play kind of cuts off here in the beginning, Van Vliet is going to cut over the top. We're going to see a player cut on the baseline, and then that little middle pin down, that the exact same play the Raptors ran tonight. In this example, we can see 2 players stay and don't go with Van Vliet on the strong side, leaving him wide open for a 3. Now let's cut to this game and talk about exactly what happened on this play that allowed the weak side to be open. The Celtics put Taco Fall in the game, a smart play because he was on the inbounder. But one thing I love here is the inbounder Lowry is as far back as he can possibly go. Now, in a normal court situation, you don't have this luxury, so you'd be a little bit closer. But here in the bubble, where there's no fans, there's no courtside seats, you can see all this extra room he has to throw this ball. So he steps back as far as he possibly can to give him more room. Here we have Tatum in the strong side corner, Tice in the middle, Marcus Smart up top, Jaylen Brown's down low. The play is going to start with Fred VanVleet cutting over the top of Gasol. Anunoby is going to cut on the baseline to the opposite wing. Then Gasol is going to go and set a little middle pin down for Siakam. As VanVleet cuts to that corner, we're going to see Tice go with him and Tatum stay in the strong side corner, which is Tatum's responsibility. Now after Tice passes off VanVleet to Tatum, he should come back in the middle of the floor and bump Jaylen Brown over. What happens is he kind of stays and gets caught in no man's land. So now Brown has to cover Gasol. So Brown is covering Gasol, and that leaves this skip pass that I don't even know how Lowry saw this open. But let's go back real quick. As the switching occurs, we can see Marcus Smart actually yelling to Jaylen Brown that OG's behind him in the corner. But since Tice was caught in no man's land, Brown had to be on Gasol. That allowed that skip pass, and then OG knocked down the incredible shot, leading to the Raptors win. Thank you so much for watching this breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to Game 4. If you enjoyed this, please feel free to like and subscribe.